and welcome back to Sko Buffs Sports. I'm Lucca Sgro.
And I'm Anna Newkirk.
It's been a very exciting couple of weeks for the CU Buffs.
You know it, and we've got basketball, hockey, lacrosse, and so much more coming up. Be sure to stay tuned and follow along as we cover what the Buffs have been up to this week in Boulder and on the road.
First up, we turn to men's basketball. The Buffs have been putting those young legs to good use on the court lately. Not only are the Buffs coming off an four-game winning streak, including a win last week at Cal, but they have been on the road the past few games, expanding their record 4-4 on the road and going 17-9 overall. Jabari Walker has been consistently leading the team with points and rebounds, and KJ Simpson leading with assists. Unfortunately, senior L.A. Biquette saw his season come to a close after suffering a knee injury. But sophomore Nick Clifford was able to display his talent more on the court, showing his aggression in defense and putting up double-digit points as well in several games. CU is back on the road, but stay in California to face off against Stanford tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Two of CU's best ever CU point guards are now in the middle of the NBA playoff hunt. Following the NBA trade deadline, Derek White was dealt to the Celtics and Spencer Dinwiddie is now in Dallas playing for the Mavericks. White played one highly successful season in Boulder before being drafted by San Antonio in 2017. The Spurs recently signed the Colorado native to an extension but moved him earlier this month for Boston's Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford. Dinwiddie, on the other hand, was the star of one of Tad Boyle's most successful teams. The guard led Colorado to a Pac-12 tournament title, an NCAA tournament win, and was ranked number 15 in the nation. Dinwiddie just recently signed a big contract with Washington this past summer after having bounced across the NBA. However, he would eventually be traded to Dallas in favor of Kristaps Porzingis a few days ago. Head coach Tad Boyle talked about his former star students, including the school's all-time single-season scoring leader, Alec Burks.
You know, Spencer, I've reached out to him, have not heard back. I actually reached out to him before he got traded. Haven't heard back. Sometimes he takes a little while to do that. But, you know, it's a new beginning for him, which I think is healthy for him to, you know, the Washington situation might not have been the best situation for him for whatever reason, maybe both ways. So he's got a new beginning. That's one nice thing about being traded. Derek was, you know, a little bit of a shock to him, and I think to everybody, maybe the NBA, but Boston really came after him because they think so highly of him. So I'm happy for both those guys. You know, it's part of the business. And Derek, I did talk to Derek, and he understands that. He's a professional. So is Spencer. So I just hope those guys can take their new environments and just continue to be who they are and be great NBA players, which they both are, and I'm proud of both of them.
The women's basketball team have proven themselves to be a contender. Although their record might not directly reflect this, the team brings drive and inspiring work to every game. With 2 wins against Washington and California last week, the team is getting into a rhythm. Although they lost to Stanford this past Sunday, a key player was essential to keeping them in the game. Maya Hollingsworth, a fifth-year forward, has become a leader for this team, recording her 7th double-double of the season. The Buffs will look to her to provide stability and guidance as they head into the next few games. The Buffs will play tonight against UCLA at 8 and Sunday against USC at 2 p.m.
It was recently announced that the late Cliff Branch will be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this coming fall. An All-American football player and 2-time Big 8 champion track runner, Branch is considered one of the most electrifying athletes in the school's history. A 4th-round pick in the 1972 NFL Draft, Branch would go on to win 3 national championships during his professional career with the Raiders. Already a College Football Hall of Famer, Branch will become the first with CU ties to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Boulder native and Fairview High School standout Tony Pizzelli will also be joining him in this year's class.
For our trivia question of the week, on average, how many Colorado Buffaloes have been featured in each Olympic game since 1948? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 4, or D, 10? We'll have the answer at the end of the show.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm looking forward to hearing the answer on that later on in the show. Up next, we have an update on our Forever Buffs at the Olympics in Beijing, and not to mention an impressive play of the week that turned heads. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Buffs have been doing exciting things here in Boulder, but they've also been riding strong in China. 8 CU athletes made the cut to compete in Beijing Olympics. 2 of those competed in snowboarding. Both proved themselves to be elite, placing in top 10 of their events. Stacy Castile cruised her way to 7th place for the women's cross, and Taylor Gold shredded into the 5th for the men's halfpipe. Both competed for the United States. Hats off to our Buffs for being there with their skills and beyond Boulder.
The past few weeks have been action-packed at the CU Rec Center as the hockey season has been winding down. To start, we have the D2 men's team whose season ended following a 6-3 playoff loss against University of Wyoming. They finished the season with a 6-18-2 record. As for the other 2 club teams, their seasons are not over yet. The women's D1 team finished the regular season with a 12-11-2 record. They are playing against Grand Canyon University as we speak in the Western Women's Collegiate Hockey League playoffs in Tempe, Arizona. With a win, CU would move on to play again tomorrow afternoon in the next round. Lastly is the men's D1 team. They are currently sit at an 8-12-7 record. Their regular season ends this weekend following 2 home matchups against Missouri State University. This is definitely not the end of the season for the team with the postseason looming, but at this point of the playoff picture is still a little bit unknown.
Speaking of hockey, that brings us to the play of the week. This play happened last week in CU's D1 matchup against Colorado State. Late in a one-on-one game for the Division I team, CU senior goalie Guri Kutry extends across his net, rejecting the Rams from scoring and taking a lead with less than 4 minutes remaining in the game. Kutry would finish the night with 42 saves in a 2-1 overtime loss to the Rams.
For this week's edition of Buff Banner, we have Troy Finnegan here to talk about one of the CU football program's most impressive and underrated former athletes whose season just ended last weekend.
What's up, Buffs fans? It's Troy Finnegan. This week on Buff Banner, I wanted to highlight one of our former Buffs, who has become one of the most underrated players in the NFL. Chidobe Awuzie shined on the NFL's biggest stage last weekend, racking up 5 tackles and a huge third-quarter interception in the Bengals' 23-20 loss to the Rams in Super Bowl 56. Awuzie blossomed into one of college football's premier corners during his 4 years at Colorado, posting 9 sacks, 3 picks, and 25 pass breakups from 2013 to 2016. After spending his first 4 seasons in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys, Awuzie signed a 3-year deal with the seemingly rebuilding Cincinnati Bengals last summer, where he instantly became the Bengals' top shutdown corner, making plays in one of the key units that spearheaded Cincinnati's surprise run through the AFC. Awuzie consistently took number 1 assignments from the opposing team and still gave up just 5.4 yards per target this year, a mark that ranks up there with the NFL's elite corners. So, while Awuzie may not get national recognition as one of the best corners in the world, the CU product has shown that he can lock up anyone and will continue to for years to come. Lucca, back to you.
Thank you, Troy. The CU women's volleyball team's hard work this past season was evident both on and off the court. The Buffs finished their season with a record of 15-14 overall and 6-14 in conference play. 3 of the CU players earned all Pac-12 honorable mentions this past season on and off the court. 11 players earned Pac-12 fall honor roll. To be named to this list, the students' athletes must maintain a 3.3 GPA or higher. Looking to build off the seasons, the Buffs will look back to bounce bigger, better, and stronger next year.
Up next, we'll be hearing more about CU's record-setting distance runner and his award-winning teammates. Be sure to also stick around for updates on the exciting start to the women's lacrosse season. You won't want to miss it.
Who's the biggest Buff fan here?
Me! That guy. Sko Buffs.
Go Buffs, baby! We're all about the Buffs!
Sko Buffs!
They can't contain us. We're the best. We can't be stopped.
Sko Buffs! Sko Buffs! Sko Buffs!
Last week at the Husky Classic, Eduardo Lola Herrera set a new school record in the men's 3,000-meter run. He finished seconds with 7 minutes and 42 seconds, surpassing the previous time set in 1998 by 4 seconds. Herrera becomes the only CU male runner to hold 2 distance school records since he set the 1,500-meter record last year.
The Sportswomen of Colorado will honor Sage Herta and Abby Nichols this March for their outstanding 2021 performances on the track. Herta earned her award as a member of the track and field team before going pro in June. Nichols, on the other hand, was selected for her performance as a member of the CU cross-country team. They will be honored for their accomplishments at the 48th annual award celebration held on March 13th at the Hyatt Regency Tech Center.
Our Buffs are playing Louisville for their 2022 season opener. There is so much snow that after the first quarter, the game got moved inside. Even with the unpredictable weather, the Buffs battled it out. By the fourth quarter, the Buffs held a 12-9 lead. The Cardinals fought back and tied the game 13-13 going into overtime. Sadie Grozier, attacker, scored the game winner for the Buffs, ending the game 14-13. The Buffs will travel to Cambridge, Massachusetts this weekend, where they'll battle Harvard University. Let's hope it's not as snowy.
Our CU women's tennis team held their first 2 home matches of the spring season this past weekend, playing host to the number 25 ranked Baylor on Saturday and Gonzaga on Sunday. Saturday's match against the Bears got off to an exciting start with junior Maria Campos and grad student Caroline Pozo battling to the tiebreaker game in the number 1 doubles match. Baylor's doubles team eventually pulled away in the tiebreaker game and captured the doubles point. CU freshmen Bettina Tkoch and Mila Stanojevic each responded with singles wins, but the effort fell short as the Buffs eventually fell by a final score of 2-5 versus Gonzaga. The Buffs got off to a quick start with Pozo and Campos securing the doubles points with a 6-4 win. Pozo and Campos then went on to each secure a singles victory, and the match was clinched with Stanojevic picking up her 12th straight victory, and the Buffs would go on to win by a final score of 5-2, picking up their first victory of the year. This week, the Buffs are in Portland for 2 matches, with the team taking on Portland State as we speak, followed by the University of Portland tomorrow at 10 a.m.
After the break, we have a rapid fire with Sam Astafaj on the exciting weekend we have coming up for CU sports. Not to mention the trivia answer we've all been waiting for. Do not go anywhere.
What's up, Buffs? It's Sam Astafaj coming at you with this week's edition of Rapid Fire. Starting off with our men's basketball team taking on Stanford on the road tomorrow night. They are looking to have the same result from the last matchup and hope to continue the win streak after last night's victory over Cal. Next up, we have our men's D1 hockey team with a 2-game set kicking off tonight at 7 with the Missouri State Bears coming to you at home at the CU Rec Center. Be loud and proud at the one and only CU Buff sporting event going on at home this weekend. Moving on, we have our women's lacrosse team looking to maintain the win streak as they take on Harvard on the road following their thrilling 14-13 overtime win against Louisville in the snow a week ago. Finally, our women's basketball Buffs are out on the road in California competing against USC on Sunday. They are looking to start a strong end to the regular season before making a push for the tournament in the Pac-12 playoffs. And that's everything from this week, folks. Back to you, Luca and Anna.
Thank you, Sam. Now, at the beginning of the show, we asked you, on average, how many Colorado Buffaloes have been featured in each Olympic Games since 1948. The correct answer is C, 4. Over a period of 39 different Olympic Games, our Forever Buffs have made a total of 152 appearances total. That averages out to 3.89 or so Buffs that have appeared at each Olympic Games since 1942.
Our tweet of the week comes from Jack Crawford. If you haven't seen by now, Jack brought a CU flag to the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium. Nothing like showing your Buffs pride on a national scale.
And with that, it is time for us to go.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SBS_CU for updates on very own Colorado Buffaloes.
We hope you have a great weekend, and thank you so much for following along with us as we share all of the exciting news of our current and former CU athletes.
We'll see you soon, back here for our show in 2 weeks.
Go Buffs!